A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, September 2. 6 Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana, are now deemed high risk in new travel protocols outlined by the government today. So too are Spain, Italy, France, and Sweden. Travelers from these countries are required to have a valid negative COVID-19 PCR test result from an accredited laboratory within 72 hours prior to arrival in Barbados. They must quarantine at a government facility free of charge or at a designated hotel or approved villa at their expense for 14 days. There is the option of taking a second test between 5 and 7 days, and if that test is negative, they may be discharged. Meanwhile, effective September 14, persons traveling from medium-risk countries must take a mandatory second test after 7 days. This category of traveler who presents a negative test or test negative on arrival will be monitored daily for onset of symptoms for 7 days. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth Jar says anyone who refuses to take the second test at the end of that period will be placed in quarantine for 7 days. In addition, there's also a new category deemed very low risk. Persons traveling from these countries and who have not traveled to or transited through any country designated as high, medium, or low risk within 21 days prior to travel to Barbados will not be required to take a COVID-19 PCR test prior to or on arrival. These countries include Dominica, Grenada, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Cayman Islands, St. Lucia, New Zealand, Finland, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mia Mottley says the island's protocols have been working. She was speaking as a guest on CNN International's First Move with Julia Chatterley this morning.
We've been very, very careful about the measures that we've put in place. We change the protocols every 2 weeks because it's a dynamic situation. There are countries that move into high risk. There are countries that drop from high to medium or low. We have different protocols for each. We have designated hotels, designated villas for quarantine. We have a second test applied for persons who come in from high-risk countries just to make sure, and medium risk, to make sure they're all right. High-risk countries have to quarantine for 7 days. If they do the second test, if they don't do the second test, they'll do the full 14-day quarantine. And it's been working very well. We have had I would say 4 or 5 days a week we may get 1 or 2 or 3 imported cases, but no more than about 10 on average in a week.
The Prime Minister added that the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic are far greater than the viral illness itself for Barbados and the rest of the region, and tourism is still a long way from recovery.
All travel stopped really at the end of March, largely because of the quarantine mechanisms which countries were putting in place. And of course, while we've had some limited resumption since the end of July, middle of July, it's really not anywhere near what we're accustomed to, probably about 15% of our normal load. So it's been extremely difficult for us and all other travel-dependent countries in the region. The Caribbean, as you know, is the most travel-dependent region in the world. So we're not only facing the direct impact of COVID, we're facing the consequences of COVID, which are far greater for us than the actual impact of COVID.
A leading counsellor suggests the COVID-19 shutdowns of April and May have had a severe impact on the psychological well-being of many of the country's children. That's according to Chief Executive Officer of Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, Sean Clark. During a press conference today, he explained that the challenges of being isolated from society over the 10-week period have been doubly difficult for a number of children who are usually subjected to domestic abuse in the home. And as a result, the counseling agency has been receiving a rise in calls from concerned adults and young people struggling to cope.
I am 16 years old. Once I received permission from my parents, I've always had my freedom. I was always able to go outside on evenings and play with my friends. I was able to go to school and to hug, my friend and to knock my body and so on. And all of a sudden, then one day out of the clear blues, you're saying to me that I cannot do this anymore. I have to remain at home and I have to be isolated. That in itself can have serious, and I'm going to let Tanya expand on this, but that in itself can have serious psychological scars on our young people. What about children who are living in abusive households where school is their safe haven? They know, okay, I'm going to leave home tomorrow morning at 7:30. I'm going to be at school until 2:30, 2:35. So at least I'm safe when I'm at school. But oh my God, it is approaching 2:35. School is about to end. I have to go back into this violent or this abusive household. And then Friday evening comes, oh my God, I have to deal with this for a whole weekend. What about those young people now who were shut-in for months and had no escape? And so we have to pay attention, serious attention to the psychological impact that COVID-19 would have had or that it is having on our young people.
Veteran hotelier Peter Odell is the new chairman of the Barbados Port Inc. He takes over from Senator Lisa Cummins, who is now the Minister of Tourism and International Transport. Odell, the owner and director of the Mango Bay Hotel in St. James, has over 37 years' experience in the hotel industry. This morning, the new chairman went on a tour at the port with other members of the facility and officials from the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy.
What I have seen so far, this is a very exciting time for the port. And as the CEO can tell, I asked a lot of questions because I want to get some answers. And the whole purpose of what we're here to do now is to implement. As the Minister said quite rightly, all the groundwork has been done, or a lot of the groundwork has been done, and it's a question of implementation. You know, being Barbados, we're very good at talking. We talk, but when it comes to implementing, is a different thing. So hopefully I would like to think that when I'm able to bring some of my private sector experience to getting things implemented in a fairly timely manner.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To the region now is the eve of general elections in Jamaica, and the island's two major political parties urge their supporters not to be overly confident. Ocean Masters of Television Jamaica has the story.
The latest RGR Gleaner Don Anderson poll has shown the JLP leading the People's National Party by 12 percentage points. However, JLP campaign chair Olivia Grange notes that the election cannot be won unless the votes go into the ballot boxes. She's urging party supporters to do everything to get out all the votes, especially amid the forecast for bad weather.
We don't want complacency and overconfidence creeping in at this last hour. The forecast is that there will be rain on election day. Let's prepare for that. Ensure that you have lots of umbrellas available to assist voters. Ensure that your runners have umbrellas, wheelchairs, etc. to assist the disabled and the elderly. In the more rural areas, ensure that you have vehicles which can handle the hilly terrains and will not struggle on the day. We must get out every single vote to ensure a decisive victory.
But despite the warning against being overly confident, Ms. Grain says she wants voters to deliver a crushing defeat to the PNP.
We don't want a dibby-dibby victory. We want a crushing victory for the Andrew Holness-led Jamaica Labour Party. We've worked hard for it, and we want you to show Jamaica that we are serious about running the country and taking care of your business.
Meanwhile, the People's National Party, PNP, says it is focusing on finalizing logistics for tomorrow's election. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson says a lot of the preparation will be focused on ensuring persons can vote safely in light of COVID-19.
We're finalizing election day logistics plans, ensuring that all our workers are in place, our transportation arrangements are in place, our food arrangements. In many of the constituencies, we're going to have sanitizers, we're going to have masks to give electors when they come. So really tomorrow is just the final things, putting your kits together for the workers, just ensuring all the arrangements for the logistics are in place for Thursday.
Further afield, Germany claims it has sound evidence that Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny was poisoned with a nerve agent. Chancellor Angela Merkel said he was a victim of attempted murder and the world will look to Russia for answers.
The prominent Kremlin critic fell ill during a flight to Moscow. He's in a serious but stable condition at a hospital in Berlin where he was brought from Siberia 10 days ago. A German government spokesman says toxicology tests on blood samples show the chemical used is from the Novichok group of nerve agents. Doctors who treated him in Russia say they found no evidence of poisoning.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.